Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the final preview show for the group stages.
The last one.
The last one. You're back with me, Daniel.
You've made it.
Yes.
Well done, everyone.
You're also back with Aaron.
Yep. And Aaron.
Thanks so much. And Aaron. Thanks so much if you followed us along for all these podcasts. Really appreciate the support. Hopefully, we've been able to help you in some way, maybe make some key decisions, maybe just make you realize how much of an idiot each of the pair of us are. But either way, hopefully you've got something out of these. Please, if you don't already, follow us on Twitter at UCL Fantasy Pod, or join us on YouTube at the main event Champions League Fantasy Podcast. Bit of a mouthful, that one. We're also on Spotify under the same name as YouTube. So get yourselves on there, get liking, following, subscribing, all that stuff that every other YouTuber tells you what to do. Aaron, the last preview. I don't think this one is going to be quite as hefty as the other ones. I think this one's going to be quite straightforward.
Seems to be.
Istanbul is the first team. So on my notes, this is the team I have the least amount of notes for. So, and it's not because I haven't done any research. It's just because it's all completely pointless. If we look at their form, so a team in the Champions League, they played 4 games this season so far competitively. They've lost the first 2-0, the second 2-0, the third 2-0, and they've drawn the fourth 0-0. So in 4 games, they haven't scored. They've conceded 6. They've not won, lost 3, drawn 1. They are bottom of the Turkish Super League. So my advice is just don't even bother. These are the whipping boys. These are the West Brom Fulhams of this world. Apologies to any West Brom and Fulham fans. I know how you feel. Me and Aaron support Newcastle. We know how it feels to just have a bad team. We've tried to be respectful to so many teams on here, even the ones that maybe are clear favourites to finish bottom of the group. But at least those teams are playing with confidence. The top of their leagues or thereabouts, or, they've scored a goal. These are offering me nothing, except for the confidence of ploughing into the other 3 teams. So this totally changed my mind. I thought this team wouldn't be as easy as maybe what we think. Obviously, finishing top of a competitive Turkish league, there are a few teams that would say, your Besiktas, your Galatasaray's, your Fenerbahce's. And if you take away that partisan crowd as well for the away legs, I think they're going to be slim pickings from this team. And I think there's going to be a lot of points on offer for the other teams in this group, particularly, Man United's attackers, PSG's attackers, and Leipzig's attackers. They're playing against 3 teams that like to attack. I don't think they've got a chance, unfortunately. And I think the other teams are going to put them to the sword. And although it's a bit tough because the other 3 teams, you kind of don't fancy them playing against each other. When they play this lot, I think there's going to be a lot of captaincy choices going on this game. That's all I've got to say, Aaron. I'm not even discussing a single player.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Raphael, ex-Man United player, 4 million, hasn't played a single game. There you go. There's my 2 cents on that.
Man United next. I feel like we were quite harsh during the group preview. However, they have not been at the same level as last year. Although when they were good, it was because they had a really, really good run of fixtures. They lost 6-1 to Tottenham. So I feel like because that was kind of, that hadn't happened yet, had it, when we did the group preview? So it was kind of timely that they that we were harsh.
Capitulated.
Yeah, we were quite harsh on them, and kind of the things that we were saying about them last week all came true in that 6-1 game against Tottenham. And so, yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to do. I don't think the signing of Cavani fixes anything. I don't think the signing of Telles fixes much, although against Istanbul, they look like very good options. Bruno Fernandes being 9.5 on this game is quite nice, especially because of his ability from the penalty spot. So things will go through him. And in match day 3 and 4, they have Istanbul back to back. So he's a definite option for then. You could maybe switch a more expensive player to go to Fernandes. So he would be good in that regard. So Man United have a good squad with individual brilliance at any given time. I don't think they have the managerial experience needed to do well, and they do run a massive risk of finishing third. So, yeah, as we'll discuss later, Paris Saint-Germain, Leipzig, they could easily both beat Man United in both home and away legs.
Yeah.
So we're not being harsh on Man United. It's just the reality that until they get settled, Leipzig and Paris look better teams. So I would probably stick with Fernandes for now because of his penalty upside and how much penalties they win in the first place.
For me, I don't think we're being harsh anyway, because ultimately we've got to look at the other teams and say, well, they're up against the semi-finalists from last year and the finalists from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Leipzig, as we're about to discuss, are top of their league, top of the Bundesliga, in a league of Dortmund, Munich.
Mm-hmm.
In Paris Saint-Germain, we know the powerhouse that they are and that they can be. So I don't think it's overly disrespectful. But when we look at sort of taking out the League Cup games for Manchester United, and we'll look at just the Premier League games, they played 3. They've won one and they've lost 2. In that 1-0 win, I think even the most diehard of Manchester United fans can agree that it was criminal. Now, I think that same week, there was lots of decisions like that. We had one against Tottenham that, rightly or wrongly, we didn't deserve anything from that game either. Like, we were completely criminal. So it's not like, I'm having a go at Manchester United for how dare they win a game that they didn't deserve to win. But they were literally a full-time whistle away from having 1 point from 3 games and being third bottom of the league, I think there would be. That's a worrying start. There's arguments over whether Ollie did well with them last year or not. You've got the camp of saying, well, you've got these players and you've got that player injured. You've managed to get them to third. It's a magnificent job. You've got the other side that say, well, he had them down in 14th at one point, and then the signing of Bruno Fernandes is what did it. I don't really pay too much attention to that anyway. It's not my club. It's not my job to have an opinion on whether a manager should be in a job or not. What I will say is, though, I think whilst he's there with the team that they have and how they're playing at the minute, I can't see them qualifying from this group. The players that I'd be looking at, yes, Bruno's on pens, but I think you really want to be targeting high impact players for teams, against Istanbul. I think Rashford at 9 million and Mason Greenwood at 7.5. Mason Greenwood has a great record in Europe against poor quality teams. He's got a great record against, well, he's got a great record, to be honest. If you look at him last season, it was terrific. But also against teams that they're expected to be, are teams with leaky defenses, Greenwood seems to come to the foray a little bit more. So 7.5 million, he's the one that I'm really looking at for match day 3 and 4. Telles, he has to be an improvement on Luke Shaw. I think I'm not in this camp of I think Luke Shaw's a terrible player. I think some people overly criticize him. I just think to be fair, I actually think he's an above average footballer. I think the amount of injuries he's had at such a young age have been incredibly problematic to his development. But also, he plays with a little bit of fear because he's had people break his legs on multiple occasions. So you can see him in those challenges wincing and out. Also, it doesn't help when his own centre back pulls him back from making challenges. But I think the quality of Telles, offensively more than anything else, the amount of assists he has this season already for Porto is tremendous. At 5.5 million, he's a wait and see. But I still don't quite fancy him in Man United's defence when they've got to play Leipzig and PSG, when they're shipping 6 goals to Tottenham, and there could have been beaten. There could have been a Liverpool Aston Villa scoreline that Brighton game. So it's not. Whilst they've got the centre back problems, I don't want to go on their defence, but to ignore the forwards, I know that they've had a couple of off days. Totally appreciate that, but they've still got some of the best forwards and like a forward line in the world. I think Ollie needs to find the balance. They've got too many number 10s. Bruno Fernandes is a number 10. Pogba at his absolute best is a number 10. Yes, he can play balls from deep fantastically well. Better than a lot of players I've seen before. But everything else that he does in the midfield isn't very good at all. Like, not just because he's 90 million, because he's Pogba, just because it's not like, take away his name. If it was a blank slate, I wouldn't think he was very good. And we know that he is. He's a World Cup winner. He did phenomenally with Juventus. I just think he's not being utilised properly. The bought Van de Beek, who is a number 10. And I think we've said before, he's played about 16 minutes for Manchester United this season. And every time I see him, he's probably been their best midfielder in those 16 minutes. So I really like him. Not too sure about how much of an asset he is at 8 million. If he was a 6, I'd be really, really interested. But at 8 million, when Greenwood's 7.5, I think I'd rather go with a Greenwood personally. Like I say, Rashford's got the dynamicism. Dynamicism. I've gotten that word wrong 3 times, I think, in a row there. Dynamicism, whatever the word is, to break past people, and he might get a penalty. Especially if Bruno doesn't play, he might be the penalty taker. I don't know how useful. If they don't get a penalty, I don't know how useful Bruno is.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things as well, like if I was the manager of Manchester United, let me know who to send my CV to. I like
a coaching degree, haven't you, Aaron?
I actually do, yeah, and a master's. I don't have any FA badges though. So
who needs them?
If I was Manchester United though, the amount of times like this, like last half of last season, Bruno Fernandes played like every single minute because they were so reliant on penalties. And so he just looked exhausted when it came to Europa League. He just looked completely exhausted. Pogba did. You should be looking at Van de Beek to be able to rest Fernandes so that there isn't a drop off in quality, because the drop off between Fernandes to Lingard was huge, but the drop off to Fernandes to Van de Beek is a lot closer, with Van de Beek potentially being a more attacking, like he's more likely to get into the box, and he's done better in Europe than Bruno Fernandes has. Just looking at the facts. I think that that's how I would run it, where you would look at rotating the squads and having solid defensive midfielders to help the number 10 be better. And it's just like what you said, too many number 10s.
The next team, PSG, group favourites, last year's finalists, they've had a little changing of the guard as well. Meunier's now gone. Not that he played after the restart anyway. Thiago Silva is gone. Eric Choupo-Moting is gone to Bayern Munich, the ultimate journeyman. Cavani's gone, obviously, to Man United. We didn't really talk about him because we haven't seen him play in 7 months. don't really know what to say about him because we've got no idea whether he's going to get right back into form, or if it's going to take a little while, or if it's completely gone. And Areola's gone to Fulham, the goalkeeper. They have got Pereira from Porto in on loan, who is a holding midfielder. Moise Kean from Everton is joined up front. Rafinha, the attacking midfielder from Barcelona, although he was on loan elsewhere, has joined them on a free. And Florenzi, so you may be able to tell us more about Florenzi, as he's from Serie A, right back. Speaking of him, he started every game this season, I think, since he's joined. He got a goal in his last game. I've mainly been looking, like I say, at the last 3-4 games, just because I've seen where sort of get the most value out of looking at this team. Marquinhos is back at centre back. He's no longer playing in holding midfield. He's taken the place of Thiago Silva. He's got a goal still in those games, 1 goal. What's really interesting is that Bernat has an ACL injury. So he's out until March, the left back. And Kera, who played right back and is naturally a centre back, has been out since September the 14th. We don't know when he's back. So a player called Bakir has been deputising in there at left back, and he's 4.5 million. So you could have a gateway into Paris Saint-Germain's defence for 4.5 million. Now, they've kept a fair whack of clean sheets this year. They've not had the perfect start. Out of their 6 games in the league, at least, they've won 4 and they've lost 2. They drew the French Cup 0-0, I believe, but won on penalties, I think, if I've got that information right. Bakir actually has an assist, even though he's only 4.5 million. So I think he's probably going to be the best option. But we did see Kimpembe get a lot of the interception points last year, the ball recovery points, but at a higher amount in that group where Leipzig, do play a press. I think Leipzig will be a lot less scared of them this time around than the semi-finals. I felt like when I watched Leipzig in the semi-final, they were apprehensive. So I don't want to be investing too much into a PSG defence, but at 4.5 million for a left back, when their left backs are required to get forward, might be really useful. Draxler's had a good start this season. He's played the last 4 games, and in those last 4 games, he's got 2 goals. But I think the main people are going to want us to talk about are Di Maria, Neymar, Mbappe, Icardi. So Draxler is away in, but if we're talking about those 4, so with Di Maria, he has been a little bit sporadic. He's got a goal and an assist in a 3-0 win. But other than that, he's sort of been in and out the side. He hasn't done anything else. He is on set pieces, so that could be worth a look. You have Icardi, who has 2 goals in a 2-0 win. He started the last 3 games, so he seems to be quite fixed, and he doesn't have any competition. So that might be a way in for one of the cheaper options at 9.5 million. But I think obviously most people are looking at Neymar and Mbappe. Now, Neymar, 2 goals and an assist in his last game in a 6-1 win. But prior to that, hasn't done too much. Nothing in the last 3 games before that. So it's inconsistent. And we got stung with him last year. He's not very ruthless. And for the amount of money that we'll be paying for him, I kind of need someone a bit more ruthless. Against Istanbul, fair enough. Potentially against Manchester United, absolutely. Attacking their fullbacks and attacking their centre-backs. But I think Mbappe has been the most consistent over the last 3 or 4 games. So he's taken a penalty, which is promising. But in the last 3 games, he has 2 goals and 4 assists. He seems to be the player that drives. He also won one of the penalty that was won. He won it. So he seems to be the driving force in that team. 11 million. Again, he's pricey, same as Haaland. But I honestly think with that group, he is going to have so much joy. Maybe, again, not against Leipzig so much, but against Manchester United and against Istanbul, I think you've got to have one of them. Like I said, Di Maria's 9 million. So that might be a really good win, especially for someone that's on set pieces. And Florenzi, that we mentioned earlier, that you might want to talk about, is 5 million at fullback, because Baka, I doubt, will play all the time. But certainly for the first game, maybe the first couple of games, I don't know how adept Carrere is at playing left back. I know that he played right back, but he's naturally a centre back. Left back might be a step too far. He wasn't great at right back by any stretch. So I think Baka, certainly until March, looks like a really, really good pick at 4.5 million.
No, I agree. I think Florenzi, very, very attacking. He played for Roma. And for those who maybe had Serie A teams on FIFA, the video game, Florenzi's ultimate team card, he has better shooting stats than defending stats, and both of them were in their 80s. So like he's a very, very attacking player. He plays right.
He used to take free kicks. He used to take free kicks. Is that right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He plays. Well, he played before Chiesa was there as the right mid for the Italian national team. So he is very capable in attack. He's very short. There was a famous video when Ronaldo's playing Roma. Florenzi comes running up to him, starts arguing, and then Ronaldo compares his height to Florenzi's.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then Florenzi starts kicking off everywhere.
Little angry Italian man.
But he moved last year. Valencia. There we go.
Oh, I do remember. I remember the look. I do remember how angry he was when he had to do the fist pump with Atalanta when they got beat. I absolutely remember his face. He was fuming.
Yeah.
But he was really gracious in defeat, because you could see he was raging, but he was going thank you, good game, thank you, good game. That trying to be nice, but he just had a look of death on his face as he was doing it. Whereas other players, I think, just sort of walked off.
Yeah, he's a very attacking right back, but obviously, as that game showed, he doesn't really prioritize defending, which makes him a perfect Paris Saint-Germain wing back.
Yeah. He's just Bernat version 2.0, really.
Yeah, he's very good though. For 5 million, I think that's a steal, to be fair.
Yeah. On to the last team of the group, Leipzig. Do you want to take it away, Aaron?
Yes, you can tell I'm getting a bit fatigued of all this because my transitions this episode have been so bad. Okay, anyways.
Yeah, we've for anyone that doesn't realize, we've just bulked these. We've done them in 2 days. Just one after another hours. My throat's killing. You're obviously getting a bit tired. You've got to edit all these, Aaron, so
I know.
Best of luck.
Yeah. So Leipzig, where to start with them? Anyway, no. So something just to start with, Leipzig, for some reason, have not skyrocketed in price, which is great for fantasy team. Lema is still a defender. Thank you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he is still an out of position defender, which is great.
It's a bit more expensive though. Is it 5 million or something now?
Yes, it's 5 million now. The whole of the Leipzig defense is basically 5 million. The goalkeeper is 5.5. You might as well just get the defender. Angelino is 5 million. So he's dropped in price. So he's now the same price as all of the centre backs. Although Leipzig sometimes mix between a back three and a back four. And have even played Holstenberg and Klosterman on the left side. Sorry. On the left side, I was just getting emotional.
It's just so beautiful.
No. So Angelino looks, if he's going to play, 5 million for a very attacking left back looks like a great bargain. Although if you have him and Florenzi, that's 2 5 million fullbacks in the same group. For Istanbul, that looks great. For the other
Yeah.
games, maybe not so much. So play around with that as you will. Although Angelino has Istanbul first, so could be worth it for them. Forsberg is a player I wanted to bring up because he's been very consistent at the start of the season. He is their designated penalty taker. However, in the last game, he was not on the field, and I need to see if it.
It was
Holstenberg
Holstenberg.
took the penalty, and he's a defender, so
Yeah.
that's a plus. But they're going to get loads of ball recovery points. Upamecano went crazy against Paris Saint-Germain last year with his ball recovery. So he's a player that for 5 million looks to be a really good priced player as well. And in terms of the forwards, I think it's crazy that they're all 8 million and below. I think that's because they can play a variety of forwards.
Yeah.
And Sabitza's quite real. Like, he's obviously their most expensive player.
How much is he? I thought he was 8.5. Is he 8?
8.5, yeah. Paulson is 8. Nkunku is someone who played as a forward. He's 7.5, but someone I wanted to talk about was Justin Kluivert, signed from Roma. He is very, very fast. He is developing into a very good player. I think he's only like 21, 22. One of the Ajax prodigies who, although he didn't break into the first team, no, I might have got that way wrong. Did he play for PSV?
No, he played for Ajax, I'm sure.
Okay.
And he did get into he got into a little bit of the first team, but I think obviously the price was right.
I just wanted to check that before I continued because I could have seriously got that wrong. No, because he played for Ajax, and he wasn't part of that core team because they had Ziyech played in the same position. However, he was a very, very good substitute, and that quality didn't drop off with him. So the fact that he's going to come into this team and potentially play a lot more. Hadara, he used to play for Newcastle, didn't he?
I think it's a different Hadara.
Our
Hadara was nowhere near good enough to play Champions League football.
That's what I thought. But he's played as left. He's played as left back as well when Angelino hasn't. So that's something to look out for. But they seem to be a budget team. I mean, their most expensive player is 8 million or 8.5 million, and it drops off pretty quick. There's only
one thing I want to say about Sabitzer. I'm a little bit gutted because obviously for a lot of team names you have like puns. So Sabitzer is the pun of my team name. So I'm like, yep, get him in. He's injured.
Oh.
So he's not been playing. He's injured, and he's injured. He's going to be out for at least a couple of games, I think, at least. So stay clear of Sabitzer, which is kind of a blessing in disguise because that means Forsberg will play, and Forsberg at 7. He gets attacking returns. He is the penalty taker. He scored against Tottenham in the round of 16. And he sort of had a bit of a bit part role in the Champions League last year. But I think he's the club captain as well. He's a bit of an odd one.
He's Mr. Reliable for them.
So for me, the players that I was looking at were Holstenberg, although he's at 5, maybe a bit too much. And they do rotate, like they rotate their back 3. I mean, the last game they actually played back 4. But even in a back 3, they rotate. So I'm not overly confident with picking which of their defenders they're gonna play with. In a back 4, they played Oban, who I think is 4.5 million, and he scored in the last game. But realistically, going into the Champions League, I think they will be playing with the back three. That's what they're most settled with. And will he
yeah,
play it?
especially with Istanbul first game.
Yeah, I can't. I don't. Yeah, I'm not overly confident on going in their defenders other than maybe Holstenberg because of his upside. But I think Forsberg's the real diamond there. 7 million on penalties. He's currently in my draft team. He's in there.
And he's in good form as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's definitely someone.
How do you think this group's going to finish then? What's your prediction, top to bottom?
Paris
Go.
Saint-Germain first.
Yep.
Like Leipzig second, Manchester
Yep.
United third, Istanbul last with, I'm going to predict 1 point. They're going to draw at least once.
With who?
That's just my prediction.
But with who they're going to draw with? Do you know?
Probably Man United because they finished third.
Oh, gosh. To all the Man United listeners out there, I think you'll batter them in both games. I don't think Istanbul will get a point. It's the only Istanbul are the only team I think won't get a point.
To be fair, you're probably right. I was just trying to
appease all the Turkish listeners.
Yeah, so because there's probably some Turkish listeners who have sat through each one of our previews going, I cannot wait.
Waiting for Istanbul to be discussed.
And then we've just brushed over them.
It takes like an hour and a half to research each group or something.
Yeah.
Then we've got to record it, and it just gets to a point where it's like, is our advice to pick that's what we're doing for these previews, giving advice on who's playing, who you should go for, who to avoid. And if the answer is avoid everyone, then
so
I can't be helped.
For those who disagree with me, but honestly, captain Demba Ba against Man United.
Ooh. Oh, we're gonna add him to the ex-Newcastle team.
He plays for he plays for Istanbul. And Chadley.
They've got some all right players. Ish. Like, they've got players that are better than their league form suggests, but like, what does that matter? Like,
they're not gonna do well. And they're both 7.5. I was just having a laugh with it.
And they're in a group of death. Leipzig, I know Man United have had a bad start of the season, but Man United are still a world-class outfit.
If they do draw against Istanbul, Poch in. Just straight up Poch in. Don't even mess up. Who cares how much you have to pay him? Ollie has to go.
Poch in.
Yeah, Ollie has to go if you draw to Istanbul.
Would it not just be Pochettino with the IN capitals? Is that what we're getting on hashtag Pochettino?
Yeah, I like it.
No, I don't want them to get Pochettino. They'll be a better team.
Well, that's who they're linked with.
Yeah,
Allegri in.
Yes, probably suits it. I think he'll do wonders with them. They've got all the players there.
Yeah.
Again, it's none of our business with Ollie in, Ollie out, but I think if you do get a manager like Pochettino, it just takes it to another level.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with your assessment. I think that's exactly how it's going to work out. The only way I think it might go differently, and I'm not saying this will happen, but is if Man United get off to a shocker or the league continues to be bad, Ollie goes, someone else comes in and they get that uplift. They had it last year, not last year, but when they brought Ollie in, I know they had some relatively simple fixtures in the league, to have that upside. But then he got that result at Paris. And obviously that's when Rio Ferdinand came out, was saying, get your checkbook out, get him signed, get the deal done, offer it to Ollie in. That's it, Ollie at the wheel. That's what they were saying. So if they can get a manager in at the right time, if that does happen, then that might turn things around. They might be able to claw something back and we might see another sort of great escape in the Man United archives. So it's one of those competitions where we can obviously say what we want to say now, but everything can change by the time the last of these group stages play. Like, people can get injured. Like, sure, is there like another transfer window in the middle of all these because of how late we're starting? Like, anything can happen. So it's just our best guess for a bit of fun. But that's the last of the previews, Aaron. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully we've managed to help everyone out a little bit. Just filter through all the noise and all the teams. Obviously, everyone's got lives to live anyway, so we've sacrificed ours for this week to just try and get as much information out as possible. Like I say, we'll have a bit of an off-the-cuff podcast before the game starts, just where myself, Aaron, and a couple of friends go through our teams. If I've got a tactic at all, that's going to be predominantly nonsense. So please follow us, get the notification bells, all that sort of stuff turned on so you can see that coming out and feel better about yourself, because our opinions will make you feel better about yourself. You'll go, I'm not the only idiot. There's plenty of us out there. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Aaron, thank you so much for helping with this as well. Really appreciate it as ever. And we will see you next time, people. Peace out.
See you. Bye.